Today, you probably helped save a life. Or perhaps helped keep a watchful eye on a neighborhood. Today, you probably helped put food on someone's table. Or help build a road that leads to a destiny. You may have even helped shape the minds of our future. By paying your taxes, you help keep critical medical staff in a job, a school to run, or a neighborhood safe, and a whole lot more. Your taxes help Zambia become better for you and me. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Thank you for joining us again on Tax Chat. On today's chat, we are looking at Smart Invoice, an innovation a government introduced to enhance revenue collection. And to help us look at this today is Mr. BJ Banda, a tax consultant from Zambia Revenue Authority. Mr. Banda, good morning and good to have you on Tax Chat.
Good morning, Alice, and thank you for welcoming me, and we're glad to be here.
Yes. Mr. Banda, to kickstart, kindly explain to us what the Smart Invoice is.
Thank you very much for that question. The Smart Invoice, in as simple as term as I can put it, is an electronic invoicing system. To expand a bit further more on that, it is simply a system that we have introduced as ZRA, on behalf of the government, which is an invoicing system done electronically, unlike the previous system which was being done by ways of issuing an invoice manually, meaning through the issuance of physical paper. This system actually allows that as long as the person has a device, can issue as the same way that you send an SMS, can issue it electronically from one business to another.
Okay. And what was the genesis of this Smart Invoice?
So the genesis of the Smart Invoice was brought up in the way of addressing the shortcomings that previous methods have, which was electronic physical devices which were used previously. So one of the main challenges that was having with that device was it was prone to a lot of maintenance breakdowns, and unfortunately that was costing the government and ZRA a lot of monies and revenues to maintain those devices. As well as, unfortunately, the system at that time was only being catered for VAT registered customers. But with Smart Invoice, it's got a much wider base for taxpayers.
Okay. Kindly share with the public the expected benefits of Smart Invoice.
So one of the benefits of Smart Invoice is that it enhances revenue collection and reduces revenue leakages. Okay. What that means is that previously, due to the physical nature of issuing invoices, you'd find that as a business, they have, for those who are on VAT, they have the component of what is called input VAT, which they use to claim VAT which they on purchases that they made, because that's how they remit their tax. For VAT customers, they outweigh the difference between how much VAT they charge the customers against the VAT that they pay when purchasing goods. So I find that companies would have a challenge when trying to claim for VAT, because maybe the invoices would come distorted, or maybe the printouts would not be clear. So I find that they had a lot of challenges. Equally, you'd find there are certain instances where companies or taxpayers will be issued invoices that are not real. You find that when the company is taken to submit their returns, only to find that the invoices that were issued with are not valid. You find that they had challenges there. So this system is supposed to help reduce those, because it's electronically, it can be traced all the way from the seller to the buyer. That's one of the benefits. The other is that it does connect to a much wider browse of taxpayers, Like we mentioned before, the previous system of the electronic fiscal devices, the EFDs, were only catering for those on VAT. But with the introduction of Smart Invoice, it can actually cater to other tax types, such as those on turnover tax, those who are on rental income, those who are on pay-as-you-earn, even those who do barely use smartphones but have access to it, like those in the marketeers.
Sure.
The base tax can actually be accommodated on the Smart Invoice platform.
Okay. All right. What are the Smart Invoice solutions?
So Smart Invoice has got 4 solutions. The first one being the mobile application. So depending on the nature of the business and the taxpayer type, it guides on what type of solution that is best suited for them. So the first one will be the mobile application, which is suited for those taxpayers who are on rental income. Those, give example, landlords. You find those by nature, you find they issue invoices maybe once, depending on the number of properties they have. They can issue invoices maybe once a month. I find that those mobile application can simply be installed on their phone. That way, whenever they're issuing invoices to their tenants, it just be done quickly as a once-off until the following month. The second solution is the online solution. So this one is catered for those taxpayers who are mostly or strictly in the service industry. To give an example, like those who the consultancy services, or those who, let's say, give example, I'm a business owner and I do have trucks which I use for transporting of goods of other clients from point A to point B. So in that case, I'm providing the service of transportation. So in that case, I will not have as many customers working in as, say, a retail shop. So in that case, even the number of invoices that I'll be issuing is less compared to them. So that type of solution is called online solution, where there's no need for you to install any application. You simply have access to the Smart Invoice portal. Then you can issue the invoices as and when needed, and simply print out or email them to your taxpayers. Then the third application is called the desktop solution. The desktop solution is the main difference between the desktop and the online. The desktop requires installation and has a component for stock management. What this means is that this one is suited mostly for those businesses that have stocks, because the desktop solution has a component of helping a taxpayer track the goods that they've ordered, at the same time how much is remaining in stores, including the reorder level. So this one is actually it provides more services and the desktop solution, and that one is more of those on VAT with goods which they're offering to their taxpayers. Then the last one is called the certified invoicing system. So now this system this solution rather was brought up in the mind of they already are taxpayers or businesses that already have accounting packages, to name a few, like the way Sage and Pastel are. So maybe a business may not necessarily be comfortable to want to use the Smart Invoice interface, but because it's now mandated that you have to use Smart Invoice, we did come up with a solution of bridging the existing accounting package to our Smart Invoice. So as long as the company's accounting package that they're using is certified from ZRA, they can actually have that accounting package linked to our system. That way, the information that they use on the accounting package gets transferred into a Smart Invoice for us to use. So in a way to say, it's in order for someone to know whether the package is actually certified, on the ZRA website, when they go under Smart Invoice ribbon, there's actually a part which has a approved vendor list under Smart Invoice. When someone downloads that document, they can actually see the number of vendors that are currently being approved by our ZRA office. I believe that as of today, the list should be coming up to 87 vendors. So that way, a taxpayer has got the option of choosing 7 other types of accounting packages which are certified to be connected with Smart Invoice. That is, they choose not to use our Smart Invoice base. So I find that depending on the type of taxpayer they have several solutions that they can choose. Equally, you can give an example of if someone who's on turnover tax can also use the desktop solution if they have stocks. If someone is VAT, they can equally use the same, because the desktop solution actually even helps calculate both the input and output. So it gives us a better understanding, as well as then helps our system when it comes to filing returns. They can actually print reports which shows both the input and output. So what they'll just basically be doing is they'll be copying the information that they get from the system and just simply going to file returns. So I find, like previously, where you have to mount heaps and heaps of invoices every month, and you take maybe 5, 6, maybe even 1 week just to file returns. With the way the system is, as soon as the person is being trained and well versed, it's something that when they have all the information available, it takes just less than 5 minutes for them to file a
Made
return.
easier.
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
So I find that the smart invoice is actually very broad, and almost any business, as long as they register for a tax type, can actually choose to sign up for smart invoice rather. So I find that at the moment, of course, the mandate is that at the moment, those who are on VAT are the ones mandated to sign up for the smart invoice. But that does not mean that other tax types cannot do that. They can actually onboard early, is what we actually encourage. The reason being, the earlier they do that, the more time they have to practice, the more time they have to get used to the system. That way, when it comes to the tax type, when it comes to mandate, they're actually experts in that field. Because of course, in the beginning, we had a lot of feedback from taxpayers saying that they needed more time in order to understand the system. Those who are on VAT, that is, they need more time. So we did give extensions, but the moment the extension period has ceased.
Okay.
So that's how now we say that as soon as if you see a business, the tax type, and you have the equipment to go ahead, you can please onboard. So just to give example, for those who want to use the mobile app, the minimum requirement all you need is simply a smartphone.
A smartphone.
The smartphone needs to have just a minimum of 2 GB RAM, as well as the running at least Android 10 and above. Whereas for the desktop solution, you need to have a laptop or a desktop that has 4 GB RAM minimum. It can be higher, and running Windows 10 or Windows 11. As for online solution, that one can actually be any device that can connect to the internet. It can be a PDA, it can be a smartphone, it can be a laptop, it can be a desktop. As long as you have access to the internet, you can actually do it where and when. You can be in the comfort of home or in the bus if you happen to be traveling and you have a taxpayer who needs an invoice. You can just simply log into the portal for the online solution and issue an invoice. You don't need physical hardware in order for you to actually print out, because all of these solutions that we're providing, you can actually download a copy in the form of PDF of the invoices and simply email them to your taxpayers. That way, it actually helps reduce costs in terms of printing services, as well as the cost of buying paper, which is actually one of the goals of the country to go more eco-friendly. Yes.
Oh, okay. Quite educating on that one. You are watching Tax Chat, and today we are looking at a smart invoice. For now, we'll go on a break. We'll be right back. Don't change the channel.
Hello?
Hello?
I'm Keke.
Oh, I was in I'm Keke.
I'm Keke, that's now I choke I'm a teacher's newspaper.
Oh, Baba Sanga newspaper. Ilipo zina. Oh, Mlungu wanga ine.
The taxes we pay not only go to improve the lives of others, but our lives as well. Because whatever we put into the world comes right back to us. Do the right thing, pay your taxes, and watch them work for you. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Hello, Bakamba, Yashani. What Mangwasha so sure? You can't leave me behind like this. You move, we know. Nikamba naiwe. You don't realize that by taking your receipt, you are ensuring a fair playing field for businesses and their tax obligations. Take me with you, Iwe.
By ensuring we receive a receipt every time we make a purchase, we're ensuring that businesses honor their tax obligations. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Welcome back. You are watching Tax Chat, and today we are looking at Smart Invoice, and to help us look at that is Mr. BJ Banda from Zambia Revenue Authority. Mr. Banda, are there any penalties for those taxpayers not complying with the implementation of Smart Invoice?
Before I answer that question, I'd like to elaborate on that.
Okay.
As much as yes, there are penalties that have been placed for such, it is not the intention or the goal of ZRA to charge taxpayers penalties. The penalties are more of a way of trying to discourage taxpayers from doing the wrong thing and encourage them to do the correct thing. We actually prefer that taxpayers are actually more compliant so that they actually give the filing the correct returns and pay the revenues on time to avoid such penalties. However, there are still challenges, or taxpayers still face some challenges, which either by cause of nature or by their own fault. Unfortunately, for those, we do have penalties. So for the first offense or first offender, we actually measure the penalties in terms of units. So for first offense, it is charged at 100,000 units. I believe at this moment, at this time, it should be 14 way to 1 unit.
Okay.
So when you multiply that, it gives you the amount of that they will be charged for the penalties. The second offense is at 200,000 units. And lastly, the third offense is at 300,000 units. So the way this is that previously for the penalties to be charged to taxpayer, an assessment will have to be done in order for it to be checking the system to say how long if the taxpayer is non-compliant, how many times, how many of the offenses have they done. That was in the previous one, but as of the recent update, the system has now been automated. So our system itself will be able to tell the taxpayer has been registered for Smart Invoice and they're not using it, or rather they are non-compliant. It will automatically charge a penalty to the taxpayer as a way of trying to discourage them from further going down the wrong path.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say for the second penalty, rather the second offender, which is 200,000 penalties, it means the taxpayers have already gotten the first penalty for them to.
So in this case, I'll give you example will be the first one of the ways of the item that considered non-compliance is that when you're as a business, you're supposed to put on your wall the tax clearance certificate showing that you're actually compliant. So find if ZRA happens to pass through your shop or your business premises for an inspection and finds that you're not compliant with that. If it's for the first time that you're being found wanting, you'll be charged that first penalty.
Okay.
Of course, once you're charged, you're obligated to pay. So find that once you do that, the second time that you pass through, maybe they come and find that you have Smart Invoice, but maybe you're not issuing your clients with receipts. You're simply receiving money or revenues, and you're providing the goods or services to the taxpayers without issuing a receipt. In that instance, because you're previously charged for the first offense, this is now considered a second offense. So you will not be charged the amount of the first, but you'll be charged the second, because it's the second time that you are being found wanting, regardless of you clearing the first penalty.
Okay.
So this is as a way of to say the first punishment was not enough, we're now giving you a second one. That's how it is. Again, if you're being found wanting a third time, again, that's how the amount of the penalty amount increases again.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well understood. From the recent budget speech announced by Minister of Finance, any latest you would like the taxpayers to be aware of regarding Smart Invoice?
Yes. So one of the key points in the speech was that the announcement that was made was that for any input VAT or invoices that were issued previously using the old system of the manual one, only those that were issued up to and before 31st December 2024 will be accepted as the input VAT to be used in terms of their claims. But from 1st of January 2025 coming forward, has now been restricted to strictly only those on VAT to the electronic Smart Invoice issued invoices. So if someone has for whatever reason decides to give or to try and claim using a manual written invoice, it will not be able to. They'll not be able to be given that claim because that has been strictly now to the electronic invoicing system. And the reason being is you want to the problem that we're trying to resolve over making sure that the invoices that they're using to claim are authentic. Because the way the Smart Invoice issues out, it has a transaction ID on it. So that transaction ID is able to be traced from the supplier where the services were provided to the buyer to who was the end to receive the service or the goods that they paid for. The second one being the commission has been given authority or powers rather to be able to exclude certain types of taxpayers if from using or rather exempt certain type of taxpayers from using the system. We'll give a simple example. There are some businesses that deal in who are registered under VAT, but there are certain types of different types of VAT. There are those goods which are called exempt, they're zero rated, there are those on minimum taxable value, and there are those on standard rated. So if I just explain a bit, the differences being those on standard rated are those that get charged VAT of 16%. That's the standard which most people are aware of. Then there's what is called minimum taxable value, which is also at 16%, but there's a key difference between the two. The difference is that minimum taxable value is managed by the government as, say, a minimum amount that should be sold. So give a simple example, things to do like water or Coca-Cola. Also, when you go on the receipt, you also see a 16%, but it's actually charged on minimum taxable value. Reason being, government sets a minimum recommended price of which those goods should be sold for. So they may look like they're both at 16%, but one is a bit more controlled than the minimum price, whereas the other is free but still charged at 16%, which is the standard rated. Then the zero rated items are those which they can be bought for. If I was to give a simple example, you and I both have a business. Then you have zero rated items. That means that you can sell them to me at either 0% VAT, or you can charge me a 16% VAT. So if I buy from you for 16% VAT, with VAT rather inclusive of 16%, and I decide to resell that good because it's on the zero rated list, I can actually sell it for 0% VAT. What that means is that I'm still charging the customer VAT, but at zero. So what that translates to in terms of returns and payments on my business is that when I go to ZIA to claim my input VAT, I'll claim the 16% that I paid to you when I was buying the goods, and then I'll declare the 0% that I charged my taxpayer. So the difference is I'll actually be entitled to a tax refund on VAT because I've actually charged zero as compared to the 16% I have been charged. That's how VAT calculated. And the last one are those which are exempt. Exempt simply means they are not entitled to be charged for VAT at all. There are those where businesses, there's certain types of agricultural products that are on the exempt list. So if a business is strictly dealing with goods on the exempt list, there is no need for them to sign up for the smart invoice. So they can actually get an exemption from the commissioner saying that there's no need for them to be signed up to this service because because the goods they're dealing with are strictly on exempt, so there's no VAT, whether input or output.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Banda, your concluding remarks on a smart invoice.
Okay, so to sum it up, so smart invoice is not here as a monitoring tool, as others have been misled to believe. Smart invoice is actually here to help taxpayers, so that they can be compliant. Like the way we said previously, you find that maybe you would require teams and teams of accountants for business to be able to calculate the tax that they need to pay. But with smart invoice, as long as someone is computer conversant, they're able to have basic mathematics. They can actually be able to even have an idea of how much tax they're actually paying. So we find that it's actually beneficial to the taxpayers. Equally, for the government, beneficial for us because it will help us be able to realize the correct amount of revenue. You can imagine you hear stories of there's some places will say there's no money in the country. Other places will say you're seeing expensive cars. So you find out where is the difference coming about. You find maybe others are not tax compliant. The money that is supposed to be remitting to the government, they're withholding themselves. But with the introduction of this, it will actually help the government reduce the revenue leakages and increase the amount of revenue that they collect from the country rather. Of course, that revenue is now channeled back into government activities like the way we see the roads, the hospitals that are being built to actually help improve the country. And lastly, we also encourage our taxpayers, if they have challenges with the system, or if they have any actually challenges related to tax, they should not hesitate to call us. Because we've had experiences where we find a taxpayer may be non-compliant, not because they choose to, but simply because they're not aware of certain aspects of tax. So do encourage them. They can actually come to the ZIA offices, the advice centers, or any other outlets closest to them. You ask them just consult on certain tax. If they're unable to pass through, they can equally call the number 4111. That's our call center on any tax-related advice, and they can be guided. Equally, again, if they can't call, they prefer to email. they can actually email advice@zra.org.zm, and they can be gotten to. Equally the same for those on Smart Invoice. You can actually email the same advice, so that you can actually book a training session, or including, say, if you have a business, you want to now sign up, maybe you don't have time to come physically yourself to our offices. You can actually email and schedule a time of which when you can get back to you to a point when you can be onboarded or can be assisted to sign up, as well as oriented on how to use the system itself.
Okay. Well, Mr. Banda, thank you so much for sharing with us about a Smart Invoice.
Thank you very much. It has been my pleasure. And again, please, as taxpayers, if you have any challenges, feel free to call, visit, or email us.
Okay, thank you. Well, we've come to the end of the show. I believe you've learned something about Smart Invoice. Thank you for tuning in to Lumen TV and for watching Tax Chat. Remember, it's my tax, your tax, our destiny.
Today, you probably helped save a life. Or perhaps helped keep a watchful eye on a neighborhood. Today, you probably helped put food on someone's table. Or help build a road that leads to a destiny. You may have even helped shape the minds of our future. By paying your taxes, you help keep critical medical staff in a job, a school to run, or a neighborhood safe, and a whole lot more. Your taxes help Zambia become better for you and me. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.